Hello and welcome everybody to Never Stop Healing. This is Regan Archibald, your host, and really appreciate each one of you for being involved in our community. Today's show is going to give you some insights on how to think about your health, how to think about fitness, also nutrition. I've got a phenomenal guest on, but before we jump in, I just want to remind everybody that we've got our very special Chef Hillary doing a cooking class coming up next Thursday. So make sure you get on that schedule. Look at the website for that. We've also got a very special retreat coming up December 5th and 6th. And so if you're not signed up for that, make sure you get in touch with us because we only have a few spots left. If you're interested in doing our peak state experience, we've got that coming up in January. And so love to have you guys be involved. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Wendie Pett. So Wendie has been motivating people to make fitness and good nutrition part of their daily routine. She teaches the balance of mind, body, and spirit through her Visibly Fit wellness program that you can find at visiblyfit.com. Is that right, Wendie? Visiblyfit.com?
It's actually wendiepett.com. And then you can also check out getvisiblyfit.com.
Getvisiblyfit.com. Yes. So go to our website right now. Check it out as we're talking. I think you guys will really enjoy that. Wendie has a nationally syndicated television program that airs each week on the NRB network, Lift Able TV, WLCN, Faith and Veld Network, and IBN Television. It's aired for over 9 years. Her television show also appears weekly on Life Network for Women, on the Life Network for Women app. For 8 years, she's been known as Coach Wendie on the KTIS radio in the Twin Cities, and it features her Healthy Tips segment. Wendie's also a featured columnist in Veg World magazine, The Christian View, Best Ever You, Refresh, Vegan Lifestyle, and Diet.com. Wendie has 2 podcasts, Visibly Fit, which congratulations, Wendie. It won the Best Lifestyle Podcast in 2021 by Spark Media, and your biggest breakthrough with her husband, Todd's awesome. I love you and Todd. You guys are great.
Thank you. I love them too.
Yeah, I bet. Yes. And we're going to dive more into that. But just to give you guys kind of an overview of who Wendie is, she's a full-time business owner, naturopathic doctor, wife, mother, author, speaker, TV host, advisory board member for the Christian Women in Media, and part-time volunteer. Her business consists of whole food, plant-based wellness coaching, emotional healing, personal online training, fitness planning, educational and motivational speaking, and creating new products, tools to assist clients along their wellness journey. And she found that after a major injury to her shoulder, she resorted to body weight resistance exercises for strength and healing, and hasn't turned back to any form of training since. She's helped countless others reach their fitness goals without ever compromising their joints, tendons, or ligaments, teaching that your body is your gym, and instilling new diet habits that have been shown to reverse multiple diseases that allow people to get off medication. So I'm so excited. Wendie, amazing to have you on here.
Thank you for having me, Regan. We are so like mindseted in so many different ways. And it's an honor to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, really glad you're here. And you and Todd are just amazing humans. And if you guys see what Wendie does, like she walks the talk. She's someone who exudes health and wellness, and actually had one of the best, probably the top 10 blood labs that we've ran in the last couple of years. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yes, let's hear it for whole food, plant-based eating and good exercise.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so, every healer has their journey, but how did you come down this pathway where you decided you just want to help people find, their voice when it comes to their own health?
That's a great question. It really did start 2 decades ago. I've always been a student of physical culture. So I was teaching, aerobics way back when leg warmers and headbands were cool, and step aerobics to American Airlines Corporation, like way back when I grew up in Texas. And anyway, long story short, moved to Minnesota over 25 years ago almost, but 20 years ago, I was in a snowmobile accident and was literally thrown from the snowmobile, from the sled, because I hit a snow-covered culvert and went flying through the windshield, and hit a tree going about 55 miles an hour. And at that point, I was laying unconscious, and really felt like my life flashed before me. And ended up coming to. Some friends of mine, surrounded me. They called the ambulance, all the things, and came to. God gave me another chance to get this right, and to serve Him in a different way. And so I'm just grateful, because I did end up with a broken clavicle and torn shoulder muscles and that kind of thing, and a big black eye and all kinds of war wounds. But it was at that pivotal moment that I was using the exercises that I was already doing to actually heal my body naturally. And it just seemed to be a natural progression of, why wouldn't I share this with other people? Why wouldn't I help people understand that they can also not only recover from injury naturally, if we give our bodies the right tools and the right time, but also for preventative measures. And so really God just opened up the doors to so much after that, quote unquote accident. But I don't believe that there are really accidents. I think there are opportunities, and we can take them in whichever direction we decide, become bitter or better. And I really chose to become better. But I did have to go to an orthopedic surgeon, and he wanted to do surgery. And I'm a little stubborn, actually a lot stubborn. And I thought, no, there's got to be a better way. And so that's when I really dug in and did the exercises that I teach and rehab my shoulder naturally. And he was shocked. And so it was that point that just so many doors opened up.
The orthopedist was shocked when he saw what
He
you were
was.
able to accomplish. Isn't that
Yes.
interesting? I've had so many experiences like that, where orthopedists will tell our patients, like, there's no way that that's going to help, and don't waste your money and don't waste your time. And sure enough, and about 95% of the time, the surgery can be avoided if you do the right thing. So did you come up with these movements on your own, or were you working with a mentor, or was it divine inspiration? How did it come?
Yeah, no, they've been around. The exercises I teach have been around for many, many years, hundreds of years. And I actually learned them from several different people along the way, and then created them more to be my own style. And it just kept evolving over the years. But it's really a lot of mind muscle connection. So like moving isometrics, if you will. So they've been around forever and ever. But just learning how powerful our body is, and learning that we do have all that we need to be healthy, whole, and complete if we just um, uh, do them. If we have the disciplines to do what it takes to heal our body, and to think differently about how our body heals, and to actually be proactive, and again to do it. So yes, I was mentored along the way, but did a lot of research, but also was already doing the style of exercise that I'm like, you know what, I'm like my best case study right now. I'm just going to put it into serious action and see what happens. And it was really miraculous to go through that journey on my own, and then to open up the door to help others really get healed from some of their injuries. I had a woman that was having, that I was working with, that was having severe migraine. She was in a car accident. I even wore like a neck brace very often. And I showed her some isometric neck exercises that eliminated the migraines, and of course strengthened her neck, and she didn't have to wear the brace any longer. But there's so many stories I could share of just the power of the discipline of taking action, and that our bodies really are meant to be strong and healthy and whole. And our mind is so powerful that we can actually create the weight. If we are
Mhm.
lifting weights, if you're used to lifting weights, you can actually envision and imagine that weight in your hand without ever really having that weight in your hand. But the body will respond the same way, except it doesn't put stress on your joints, tendons, and ligaments. And that's where so much power comes in.
So, and that's interesting, because over the years we've seen like phantom limb syndrome. Like, you can have pain in a hand that doesn't exist, for example,
Yeah.
and then you're using it in reverse. You're saying, hey, like, you can literally employ your mind, and it will get results faster. Do you have any experiences that you've seen with that, and seen any cool research? I'm sure you have.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like specific, journals that I could go to tell you where I saw them. But just really knowing that it is about progression. It is about discipline, and it's about knowing that our body really is our gym. and the power of our central nervous system, how it can it can reshape and reconnect in the sense of how we are operating, and with our strength and our flexibility and our coordination, our balance, everything starts to shift when we work our body differently. I mean, you know that you're very aware and tuned in to different modalities of working out. And this is just another modality that keeps people from having excuses really about, oh, I can't work out, I can't get to the gym, or I don't have the finances to go to the gym, or whatever the excuse is. Your body is your gym. You can do that right at home. So body weight resistance exercises, but also just the power of, again, not putting the wear and tear on your joints, tendons, and ligaments when you are doing the strength training. So for instance, if you're listening and you want to kind of do this with me. If you want to imagine that you have a weight in your hand, and we're going to do like a bicep curl. So we're going to work the front of the arm, and go ahead and keep that arm close by your body. And I want you to lift, say, I don't know, maybe it's 20 pounds for you. Maybe it's 50. I don't know how strong you are, but go ahead and lift with slow, controlled movements as you bring that hand up to your shoulder, and you're squeezing. You can actually feel and squeeze. You'll feel like your body is a little bit shaking, right? But also do that in the negative movement as well, slow and controlled. We don't want to just drop the weight. It's very slow and controlled. So then you're working both the positive and the negative muscle group at the same time. So you can do that with any part of your body. There's great power in that. And of course, the repetition gives you a lot of strength. And it's really working the muscle from the inner fibrous being, to maximize. So you're not going to get bulky. It's not that kind of style of training, but you're going to get lean and you're going to get strong.
Yeah. Well, and anybody can do that. Even if you've got injuries, it's pretty simple. Like, obviously you won't be putting a lot of strain on the muscle that is, flaring up the injury, but man, you can work out your whole body. This is interesting because I've seen, research where bodybuilders, they'll look at themselves in the mirror and they'll visualize what their body, what shape they're trying to carve out. Arnold Schwarzenegger is like probably the most famous bodybuilder still. Yeah, and that's what he used to do all the time, is just, he'd look at different muscles and he wanted a certain shape. And then he would bring the confidence onto the stage. And it was the visualization that he did was probably the thing that made him world class.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because really bodybuilders, when you think of them on the stage and they're flexing and they're turning and they're doing their moves, that is the style of Visibly Fit, because you're doing moving isometrics. That's what those are.
Okay.
And there's great power in them. They look a little silly, right? Sometimes, but man, they work. And I'm telling you, I've trained professional athletes and football, right? They're like, okay, yeah, show me your little exercises, Wendie. And man, they were sweating like you wouldn't believe, because we're working the small twitch fiber muscles. We're working things that they're not used to working, and they're thinking that it's just a nice little stretch. And I'm like, no, let's work it harder. So it's amazing when you can really bring your mind into the movement and tap into the power that exists. Like, for instance, I have a lot of people when they're first learning, like say you put your arms all the way out from one side to the other of your body, right? Like this fish is this big, and you bring those arms forward and you're flexing and squeezing. And what I usually have people do is have someone push against your arms with all their might, and you're pushing against them, and to give you that kind of that feel of what you're supposed to do on your own, because that's how powerful our mind is. You can do that on the forward and the backward movement. And so that's those moving isometrics that the bodybuilders are doing from the stage. And I think of like Herschel Walker, man, he's all about body weight resistance. He's strong, man. He's like a bull.
It's crazy. I can't remember how many push-ups a day he used to do.
Like 1,000 to 2,000. Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's still, I don't know, he's in his 50s and he looks great.
Yeah. And he's a farm guy,
Right.
Grew up on a farm, worked hard and knows what it takes. And yet he's not out banging and clanking weights together. He's just doing old fashioned good, calisthenics and body weight movements. And so Visibly Fit is a lot of those kind of body weight movements, but also those moving isometrics, dynamic, visualized resistance, self resistance. So DVR and DSR.
And that's what you mean by your body is your gym.
That's right. That's right.
So
No more
what does,
excuses.
yeah, sorry, you guys have it right there. So what does your day-to-day routine look like?
Well, my day-to-day routine is unique, and Todd and I have the privilege and the flexibility of working from home. Thank goodness, because we have a routine where we start off. We have our prayer and devotions. That's really important for us, and meditation time, and then we alternate going from the rebounder to the vibration plate. We flip turns there, and then we have the infrared sauna we spend time in, and then I do my Visibly Fit 7 by 11 exercises. They are 7 exercises, and I say 7 by 11 because I encourage people to do them twice a day, once before 11 a.m. and once before 11 p.m. It's your
Mm.
day, your schedule, figure it out. Just get these 7 exercises in. I'm telling you, just these 7 will make a huge difference in your life. And you can actually get those at wendiepett.com. And they're simple, they're easy, and they make a big difference.
So you do
So
those twice a day,
I do.
and why twice a day? Why not just move your body once and be done with it?
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's just kind of it's one of those things that has become routine over the years, but I believe that I mean I don't just do the twice 7 by 11. There's also like an intentional other workout that I do. I might walk, I might run, I might do some high intensity, some burpees and whatever, or I might do some body weight exercises, or one of my other Visibly Fit full blown full body workouts. But those are like the two staples, kind of the bookends to everything else I do during the day. Each day is a little bit different, right? Like I don't have a same routine except for those 7 by 11s. That's the same. That's like those are my core starting of the day and ending of the day kind
Mhm.
of protocol. And I can just tell a difference in my strength and really keeping my body from being injured. I've seen a lot of busted up weightlifters, and they have come to me saying, "I don't know what to do. I'm too young to feel this damn old," kind of thing, right?
I think there's a
That's a
country
country
song.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a Texas girl.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I'm like, you're right, you are, and it doesn't have to be that way. So helping people see that their body can heal itself, and also that they have everything that they need, and to start applying some of the movements in their everyday routine just for some foundational training. It makes a world of difference, just like stretching. That's so important every day, stretching.
Man. Well, and I think there's a concept in fitness, move it or lose it.
Yes.
And there's so many things that get in the way. It could be weather. It's in Minnesota and Utah, it's getting cold right now. Days are short, and so we have all these things, these barriers that get in the way. But if you look at your body as a gym, you really don't need much space. I mean, Herschel Walker's push-ups, it's just 6 feet by 6 feet. Like, you don't need much more than that. Well, depending on how tall you are, but
Yeah, and you don't need special clothes. You don't need
right.
anything but your body. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then the other side of the equation that you've really invested a lot of time and energy, and you've cultivated an expertise around, is nutrition.
Mhm.
So tell me your thoughts on nutrition. I mean, plant-based is a big thing for you. And how have you come to this conclusion, and what's some of the things that you do nutritionally that work for you?
Yeah, and you talk about nutrition, and that is a big, big part of the puzzle. But I will also say that it's just like you, Reagan. It's a lifestyle. It's a holistic approach. It's mind, body, spirit, emotions, relationships. It's the whole gamut. But when it comes to nutrition, I really, thought I ate well for many, many years until I read the China study, and it
Mm,
just made such an impact on me, and it just made sense. And when I switched gears, almost nine, I guess, yeah, 9 years ago, my body is different. My energy levels are different. I've just seen a difference in how I show up. It may not be for everybody, but I'll tell you, every client that I worked with, I have seen results with every person I've worked with. And I speak that in a strong way because I've seen the chronic inflammation shift. I mean, there's CRP levels have just shifted dramatically in their blood levels. They're getting off medication, and they're from blood pressure meds to getting off of metformin, like reversing type 2 diabetes. I mean, it's just powerful. And so when you see those kind of results, just like you do with your clients, it's like, okay, this is undeniable, and I'm just going to keep on keeping on, because it's not always quote unquote easy, or it didn't used to be. It's become easier because people are catching on to how we should be eating as far as whole foods are concerned and that kind of thing. But before, it was a little like hard to find a good restaurant, or people didn't really understand you. And so I think it's becoming more mainstream. But I just see that the shift is happening, and people are really looking for a solution. And whole food plant-based has definitely worked for me and my clients. And again, I see the difference in the chronic inflammation in their body, and that's been a huge wake up call.
Yeah, it's interesting when when people start actually eating vegetables and eating whole foods, getting away from the processed foods. It's crazy what the body can actually heal from when it's like, how many people come to you, Wendie, and they're like, Dr. Pett, you're the last person, if you can't fix me, nobody can. Like, I mean, I probably hear that, like, I don't know, 10 times a week. And I'm sure you do the same. And it's like, well, it feels really simple at this stage after doing this for 20 years that, hey, all we need to do is clean up your body, and your body is designed. You came factory installed with incredible healing capabilities. All I'm going to do is turn on a few pathways, and your job is to just eat the right stuff and do some Visibly fit, but
Yeah.
but
But it's
what?
amazing how that seems to be, oh, that's all I have to do. But then when you say, give them the tools and the what to do, they're like, oh my gosh, that's too hard. What do you mean? I don't know. I don't know that I can do all that. I'm like, yes, you can. Let's get the emotions out of the way, and let's talk about that. I actually do talk a lot about releasing, because a lot of women that I work with want to lose weight, but I talk about releasing the emotions attached to the weight, to release that weight, because it's
Mm.
amazing how the emotions keep that inflammation and keep the cells from shaking loose, so to speak, the toxins, as you know, and keeps the weight, the unhealthy weight, hanging on. So that's a big part of it.
What kind of emotions do you find that go along with holding on to weight?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of it is fear.
Mm.
I would say the majority is fear. In fact, I interviewed a doctor from a hospital out of Mexico, and he does a lot with cancer patients. And he said the majority of the patients that we work with, it's a fear. He said, I believe it's fear based, that cancer, is stagnant in the body and manifest. And so I thought that was an interesting. I was like, yeah, totally, because that's what I feel like I'm talking with my clients about, but in a different way. But fear, doubt, bitterness, anger, all of, and then that depressed, that low vibrational frequency kind of emotion, right? Because our
Yeah.
cells vibrate at that pace. And so if we're vibrating at a really low frequency pace, as opposed to joy and happiness and the higher vibrational frequency, man, it just causes dis-ease to settle in the body, and that's what we start to notice. But I would say those are the majority: fear and anger,
Mm.
sadness.
Have you read the book Power versus Force, David Hawkins?
I have not, but I definitely know who David Hawkins is, but no.
That book is great because he has basically he gives algorithms to the power of emotions, and so
Mm.
starting from the lowest level like guilt and shame,
Yeah,
and then
guilt
you
and
kind of
shame,
move
that's a big
up,
one.
and what's that? Yeah, shame.
Guilt and shame is a big one.
Huge. And then you kind of work up, and then there's fear, and then there's like sadness, and then anger is kind of where you shift over to courage, which is now on the positive side.
Ah,
But I think you'd really dig it. It goes right along with what you're saying. And I think that's true. There's so many things that show up in our emotional body before they ever manifest physically. And that's one of the beautiful things about Chinese medicine. I'm always trying to kind of put both worlds together, an Eastern and Western world. But when I see someone who comes in who's got lung issues, and then you start talking to them about things that they've lost in the past, and you can tell that they never moved on from that death or
grief.
that breakup or divorce or bankruptcy or whatever that big event is, and now it's now it's in their lungs. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
very interesting when we start looking at how the emotions all tie into the physical body.
Yeah, 100%. I remember a gal that I was working with, and she was just at a plateau with her weight. And we did I always talk about the key to fitness is begins with the F word. And so it's forgiveness, right?
Mm,
A lot of people think, oh, the F word, what's she about to say? But no, it's about forgiveness. And that's a big piece of the puzzle. But as we did this exercise in my program, I have a 7-week program, she actually released 5 or 6 pounds that week. And she had been at a plateau for several weeks, like not releasing at all. And after she did that forgiveness thing, it was like her body could finally let go. And
mm,
I just think if people really understood the power of releasing and letting go, and yet we're also human, we have our moments, right? But I mean, I know I do too. But it's really understanding and having a quicker rebound rate as far as how do you handle those emotions and how do you release them a lot quicker, because there's people are people, and they know how to poke at our little injury areas, if you will. And so we have to learn to love them anyway and recognize where they're coming from and show up in a different way. And it's just powerful when you really get it. Not that I'm better than or anything, but when you step in that space of getting it, you can just walk through life a lot more free, and your body's not going to feel all tight and hanging on to dis-ease in the body. So
yeah. And it's true. I think anyone who's ever had an experience in a close relationship where you take the time to actually have an understanding of what that person's perspective is. And my wife and I went through this weekend, and she sent me all these questions. She, like, what do you need more of from me? Is it easy to be vulnerable and emotionally honest with me? All these cool questions. And so
awesome.
I said, sorry,
It's okay.
I'm recovering from running in the cold. And so she sent me all these questions, and there's 17 of those. And I spent probably 2 or 3 hours just like giving her an honest, like I wrote it out so that I could just have time to think through my answers. And it was just incredibly liberating. Like, she's like crying as we're reading them to each other, and we're expressing all this
Aw,
appreciation.
yeah.
And it's cool because you start realizing, like, one of the questions is there any resentments that you want to unload and process? And I was like, no, on the onset. And then I was like, actually, yeah, there's a couple things that we should probably cover. And just by talking about them is like such a powerful thing. So I like that the F word forgiveness comes when you actually have some dialogue with things that may upset you, because humans are humans, and we can hold on to a lot of things and not even realize it.
Yeah, that's so cool, Reagan. And for a guy to be saying that, like a lot of dudes don't necessarily want to talk it out. Like, but there's such power. I mean, I'm kind of stereotyping, but but
No,
but
it's
I'm not.
true. Yeah. I didn't instigate it. She did, by the way,
Yeah,
but I
but still,
participated.
yeah, go wife. I love it. But you participated, and that's a big
Um,
piece of it. Like it takes two. Like you participated, and that's the beautiful dance of it. That's communication, and it's
yeah.
being raw and authentic, and that's when we can become our best selves. When we don't have to put on some sort of air about ourselves or some ego. It's just we're loving each other where we are and having compassion for one another. And I
Hmm.
think that compassion is a big thing, because you're brought up in a different place than an environment and thought processes than your wife was. And yet
Yeah.
you're together as two individuals but one. And so how do we do this thing? And so talking it out is powerful. I love that. And even with our kids, right?
Mm,
um, Getting our kids to be able to open up and have that opportunity is powerful if they'll partake.
yeah. So, and you and Todd just seem like just super resonant. You guys have an awesome countenance about you. You guys, when you see Wendie and Todd together, they're just like this. They just like fill up the room with lightness. It's gorgeous to see. What are some things you guys do to keep your relationship fresh and alive and happy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I mean, we work together from home, but work separately from home, but we're always together. Like we were laughing. I'm like, honey, I'm just not even sick of you. It's so weird. Like we're always together and I'm not sick of you. He's like, I'm really not sick of you either. So we just have this beautiful relationship. We talk about everything, and yet we have respect of when the timing is right to talk about those things. I
Mm,
know when the sun is going down, that's not a good time to talk about things. Todd's like, done. No, that's
yeah.
not a good time. And so fresh perspective in the morning, that's wise. We go on walks together. We just got back from a vacation where, I mean, we just were so kind to our parasympathetic nervous systems. It was like crazy. I've just never been so chill in all my life. And it was just wonderful. So we love to travel. We love to learn new things. We love meeting new people like yourself, Reagan, and experiencing life together. And obviously our faith is very strong together. We're both Jesus followers, and we dive deep in our faith together and ask one another questions. And that's one of the things that we love. And we love to serve together, and family, and all those things.
Mm.
So I don't know. I mean, we have our moments just like any couple, but I appreciate you seeing us as a couple of great light. And we do our best to be encouragers and inspire where we can.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think it's great. I think, and especially the fact that you talk about your faith. I think that's such an important part of life and healing. And I guess, what would you say the most important thing about faith is? How does that relate to fitness and health in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's a big, big piece of the puzzle. It's the mind, body, spirit. It's the whole person, the whole unit, if you will.
Mm,
Because if your mind is one way, but your spirit is another, you might be physically doing some healthy things at times, but when your spirit and your mind, and there's that gap that has been bridged, then you do the things that you do to keep your body healthy because you get to, not because you have to, right?
mm,
It's like I get to, like, thank you, Lord. You see life differently. You see it as a gift, right? And you want to operate in such a manner. And it doesn't mean perfectionism, because that's not possible. But we do our best to be our best, and we're going to have moments and we're going to slip, but we give ourselves grace as well, um, personally and together as a couple. But I just think our faith is really what keeps us strong and keeps us going.
man, I think that's great because it really aligns things. And then it sounds like it gives you a lot of meaning and kind of anchors.
For
You're
sure.
talking about the lack of congruence if your heart and your mind aren't centered, or your spirit and your mind. And I think that faith is it's something that it's easy to just kind of dismiss. And it's like, well, we have all the science and there's other way, but I think that's such a fundamental piece of it. And I think that's probably one of the big reasons you guys radiate so much light. It's you carry that with you, and I think it's beautiful. So if somebody's out there and it's like, they're struggling with, maybe they're nervous about, what's happened to their health, or maybe things are deteriorating, or maybe there's somebody who, they're at an age of life where they feel like they just can't get through out of the rut that they're in, or they just can't find a new pathway in their health and fitness journey. What's some advice that you would give them, and where could maybe they go to get some more insights from you?
Yeah, I would say that you're not too old and you're not too far gone. It's really all between the ears. It's what's in your mind. So if you think you are too old and too far gone, then you are. But if
Mm,
you don't, then you're not. And you're never too old to learn new things. You're never too old to start a new routine and to start fresh. Or you're never too far gone in your health to reverse things. And so if you're looking for more information, you can go to my website, wendiepett.com, which is WENDIEPETT.com, or go to getvisiblyfit.com. That's where I have a 7-week program where I walk you through all kinds of things from mind, nutrition, the fitness, the emotions, all the healing. But also, if you're looking for an incredible detox drink, because sometimes we just need a good place to start, and sometimes just having that first next thing is a good place. If you go to liveimmune.com, I give you a free green drink detox there. But I'm accessible. So if you're on social media, if you got questions, just reach out. I love people and I love to help any way I can.
Man, I really appreciate that. And I know our audience does as well. And just one final question. This has been such a fun interview, but if you look at the next 10 years of your life, what are like 2 or 3 things you're doing to make the next 10 years your best 10 years?
Oh, Reagan, that's a good one. I believe that these next 10 years will be similar but different in the sense of more of a service, instead of, I guess, because I've had my business for so long, right? I feel
Mhm.
like it's more of a service, uh, giving, serving, loving and leading in a different way.
Mm.
I don't know exactly because I don't know how it's all going to shape up, but I just see it more as a giving rather than a business. I mean, it's still business, right? But
Yeah.
it's going to be a different mindset around it. And Todd and I want to travel a lot more, and we've decided that stress is not our friend,
Mm.
and we really want to make the most of our years together as a married couple. He's a couple years older than I am, so we want to make the most of our time, and really just embrace our family and our loved ones in the best way that we can. And for us, it's a lot of experience and just being there. When they have events, like whether it's a soccer game or a holiday or whatever, we just want to be there and be with them and not have any agenda. I guess that's it. We just want to
Mm.
be and love them very well in the way that they would want to be loved. Maybe not the way that we would love them, but the way that they would want to be loved in their love language. So
Man, I love that. That's beautiful. And so yeah, I could see the next 10 years where if stress is not tolerated, it sounds like you guys just decided why bother with it.
right.
Someone else can have it. There's plenty to go around. And then you're just going to give. And I think the times in life where I'm the least stressed is when I'm focused on what other people need instead of myself. And so yeah, this is great. I think everyone who's listened to this, I think you can't help but get a little bit of healing just from listening to the conversation and hearing what you've had to say, Wendie. So thanks for being such an amazing human and for all the work you're doing. Once again, if you guys like this, make sure you go and get on Wendie's website, wendiepett.com, or getvisiblyfit.com. And she's got some great things there for you. So Wendie, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all you do in the world. Appreciate
All
you.
right. My pleasure. And share this, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next show. Take care.